Okay, everybody, this is going to be a little bit different video. As a couple of other videos I've showed you, I said I'm going to make a video of just some basic stitches for crocheting. As I said, I do crochet. So this has been interesting, trying to think about something anybody could use, not just people that are experienced with crocheting or knitting or tatting or any other combination, not just quilting. So I'm going to show you how to make a pretty simple pot holder from bare minimum things, and it shouldn't take us very long. But I didn't go purchase any yarn. I have some extra yarn sitting here. I just have this variegated. I always preferred working with variegated yarn. It was my little thing sitting on my side of my sewing machine. But I always liked the variegated. It's called variegated yarn, simply because it's got all the colors, and whatever you make out of it, it's different colored. And if you've never purchased a skein of yarn, which is what this is called, it's not pulled out like this. It's inside. You'll find the string, and you just need the end of it, which will be like this is the end of it. It will be just inside. You just got to pull it. Sometimes when you pull it, a bunch comes out. You just need to be careful, and so you don't tangle it. It's pretty easy. I'm going to set this over here. I'm going to go to the end, and I just want the end hanging out here. Yeah, I like the variegated yarn. I'm just going to leave the end right there. And this is how I keep all my crochet hooks, my knitting needles, everything. They're kept in a container of some kind. This happens to be one that I have for my crochet hooks. And you could buy these. You could make them. This is one I happen to buy, and it fits according to the size. As you can see, I have pretty much all the sizes of crochet hooks you could ever imagine. I don't know that I'm missing any, as a matter of fact. Actually, I am. There's one that goes beyond this, and it's a real big one, and I have it. It's in the drawer. It's huge, and it's really fat, and it's longer than this. As you can see, these ones are a little bit longer. Crochet hooks are based on the size. Like this one, I believe this is the one I always use. I think it's a G. They're hard to see. 19. That doesn't look like the right. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Sometimes they have 25 millimeter. Wow, some of these don't have number or letters on them. Some, okay, see, like I don't. Let's see if you could see this. Like this one has a G. Okay, see, there's a G. This one is funny because it doesn't have that. This one has. I don't know if I could get that focused in so you could see it. No, I can't. Okay, maybe. It's got numbers on it. It actually says, I don't know what this says. If I could get it, it says 1/9 or 5.25 millimeters. And that's going to be based on where I got it from. But I always use this size hook, which is a G, and the size hook that you use is going to be based on how big your stitches are. For example, if you buy a pattern or get a free pattern, most of the patterns will say how many inches so many stitches are going to equal. And what that's referring to as an example, okay, this is an inch across here, okay. Say as an example, the pattern said, and I'll go slow these down so you can understand, but I'll just make one real quick. Say the pattern said that an inch equals 5 stitches, okay. So let me just do 1, 3, 5, and I'll show that. And what this has, okay, I just 5 chains across, and I will show you these. See, that tells me that the tightness that I'm doing, whatever I'm doing, every 5 chains is going to equal 1 inch. Pretty close. It's not exact, but it's pretty close. Because you don't technically count the starting, so it's 1 inch. So that's a way of judging how tight or loose. And you could do one of 2 things. You can either make your stitches tighter, which I do not recommend making your stitches tighter. If your stitches are too big, go down into a smaller needle. Instead of trying to adjust how tight or loose your stitches are, just go down to a smaller needle, and that will take pretty much a guesswork out of it. So how you start a chain is you have this, and you'll have to bear with me because I'm not used to doing crochet slow, so you'll have to bear with me. This doesn't mean that this is how everybody does it. This is just how I do it, because mind you, I have severe osteoporosis and arthritis in my hands. So I've had to, and I've had it for years, so I've had to adjust how I do things so it doesn't hurt so bad. So I'm not really right-handed or left-handed. I could do either one, but when it comes to crocheting and knitting, I tend to use my right hand as my working hand. My left hand is the one that holds the thread. So you just need to be aware of that. I'm not going to demo the left side. I'm just not. Okay. So what you do is you're making basically a slip knot. And how I make mine is I just make a loop. See the loop? The thread comes over and you make a loop like that. Leave a little bit of tail. This is a tie tail. So I just take my hand. See? You just take your hand, and that's a good enough tail, the length of your hand. So that's how it's like, okay. So I just make a loop. You just turn it, and it comes around. With this end, the loose end, you just push it up through the hole and pull that through the hole. Let me try this again. This is hard, slow. You're just going to pull that loop up, push his tail in through that hole, and you pull it. See, that's a slip knot. Okay. Now and then just keep your little tail out. Don't let it get mixed up with your whatever you're doing. And how I hold my thread may not be the same as everybody else. This is just how I do it. The same as when I hold, some people do it this way. I can't. That hurts because that's too much work on my wrist. I hold a crochet hook just like holding a pencil or chopsticks, and it's exactly how you hold a pencil. See? But you take the long end, okay? I put my needle through a crochet hook through that hole, okay? And I kind of don't pull it real tight. Okay, now this is going slow is going to be okay. Make sure this one you use to tie. I'll explain it to you. This just goes, make sure it's hanging out. If you have to flap it around your other hand, that's fine. You just want it out of the way. You have the tail down here. And how I do it, I have to stop and think. How do I do it? Okay, I take my pinky and put it through. See, my pinky is through there, and then I wrap it. And ta-da! Let me show you again. I put my pinky through, so it's in between. It's in between my pinky and the next finger over. Then it wraps around my hand, and then it just wraps around my index finger, and like that. And then what you're doing is, you kind of pull it down. What you're doing is you are using the thread between these two fingers. That's your, I call it a tightening gear. That is how you control how fast you want your thread to come through, or your yarn. And I mean, you could do this with thread too. The same concept is applied whether you use thread, yarn, even making little doilies out of thread. And how we make a chain, and so you could pull it. Okay, I hold my middle finger and my thumb. I hold those two, and then this finger goes out. See, that's my, I guess you call it the tautness of the thread. Okay, your crochet hook is through that needle. Okay, you're gonna make a chain, and what I'm gonna show you is how to make a simple starting of a pot holder. It's real basic stitches. We probably won't finish it, but I just wanted you to see the basic stitches of how you start a pot holder. And no, it's not square. You go around and around. Okay, so we got our crochet hook through the hole. Now what I do to make a chain is your crochet hook is on this side. So put your crochet hook through here. You just wrap it around. See how it's wrapping? And pull it through the hole. There's one chain. Wrap it around, pull it through the hole. There's two. Wrap it around, pull it through. There's three. Wrap it around, pull it through. There's four. And see what we're creating? A little chain that kind of looks like a braid. I mean, and if you forget how many chains you did, you can actually count them. See, 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to make let's make 55 chains, okay? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14, 15, 16, 18, okay, there's 26 on here now. And see what the variegated, that's what I wanted to, I didn't want to stop, but this is what the variegated yarn will do. Okay, 27. Whoops. And if it comes out of the hole, don't worry about it. Just let it go through. And then it starts all over again. And it does this. This is just not my favorite colors. This is just happened to be one of the skeins of yarn that I grabbed a hold of that I had. Okay, now this is 50. Okay, now if you think about it, do you want a pot holder that's this long? See, that would be too long for this particular type of pot holder. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. And now this one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. This one's like 9 inches. Okay? Which is, mine makes it 40. Yours may be smaller. If you find that your stitches are too tight, you're going to have a hard time getting your crochet hook in there. Now, we got this tail of this chain. Okay, we're going to wrap that around. Remember, okay, you want to make sure, because what you're going to be working with is, I'm going to have to put this up close to the camera so you can see. Okay, on this chain, how this looks is this side that's closest to you is considered the front, and then this side that goes away is the back. So we are going to be working with these back loops. At this second, we're going to be working with these back loops only, not the front. Okay, so your first chain is this one that is right next to the crochet hook. So it's considered a turning chain. Okay, so to compensate for the fact that you're not going to be using it, you need to do one more chain. So how many ever chains you create, add one more for your turning chain, because we're just going to be doing single stitches instead of half or double. We're just going to do single for this. Okay, so we got our extra chain, and what you're going to be doing is putting your hook into the second chain from the end. So you got this chain on the end, the one next to it. And how you're going to do that is just like we did with the chains. Wrap your hook around like this. You can use your other fingers. 1, 2. And then you put the hook into the back side of that. See how it's back side? Pull that thread through the first loop only. Okay, so now you've got 3 little hooks on, or 3 little loops on a crochet hook. You're going to do the same thing. Wrap your crochet hook around and pull all through all 3. And looky what we've done. We've created a little guy on here. So we're going to do that again. Wrap your hook around. Go to the next one. You're going to pull it through. And pull it through all 3. And go to the next one. This is actually, I think, called a single. I can't see that far away. That purple's hard to see. Okay. Okay. So you can see what we're starting to form here. This little guy here. See? So I'm going to finish all the way to the end and be right back. Okay, almost to the end. I got 2 left on the end. Okay, this is what it looks like when you're done. Looks kind of like a little rainbow. And this is going to vary depending on what variegated yarn you buy. I mean, you don't have to. You can buy just all one color. I just like the variegated. Because it just creates a design without you having to add other yarns to it. Okay, we're going to go in the... Okay, so we've come to the very end. Now, at this point, you have a decision to make, because you can either... you can go one of 2 things. This can actually make also a wash rag. a crocheted wash rag is actually really good. And you just make a straight piece. Or you can continue on with the pot holder. And if you're going to make a pot holder, we're not making it straight. We're going around. So what you're going to do is when you get to the end, you've placed one. You need to place a second half stitch in that same hole because you're turning a corner, basically what you're doing. Now, okay. Now here, remember I said keep the tail out of the way? Now, what you're going to do is you're going to weave this tail that we started, you're going to weave that into part of this. Okay, and how you're going to do here, remember before I said the back side. So you're going to be doing the same thing. You put 2 into that end one. You're just going to do the same thing. See, there's your end. See where the hole is? That's your end. You're going to go to the next one. Make sure that you're catching this, pull through, and pull through. And you go to the next one. And in a second you'll see it turn. Yeah, this is real hard doing this is slow. I've never done this slow before. This is interesting. Okay, and see what you're doing? You're creating, and yes, it's going to turn like that because you're actually creating. See, there's a little lip. See, it's got like a little lip. That is what is supposed to happen. So let me go all the way to the end here, and we'll continue on. Okay, now I can show you what's happening with, here's our big long tail. So again, we're wrapping it around. Don't pull that tail through. You're just wrapping it around. You don't have to do it that way. You could actually, when you're on, use a darning needle or however to weave it in. But it's just easier to do it this way. And see how when I use it as a pencil, instead of doing it this way, I have more control. I'm not having to move my wrist. I'm basically just moving my fingers. I'm moving my wrist a little bit, but I'm basically more on the lines of using my fingers. I'm pushing with this finger here, pushing it in and out of the hole. And yes, it still does hurt sometimes, and so I have to kind of stop for a little while and let my wrist rest, but it's not so bad. And I found that holding it with a pencil like this, and if I have to wear my braces, I can still do it this way. And that's where that came from, is discovering a way that when I do have to use those hand braces, which is sometimes I try not to use them because I think it I don't know whether it makes it worse or not. It makes it feel better at the same time, but then I think, okay, I'm relying on this, and then I think maybe the muscles in my hands will rely on that and then stop working. So let me get to the end here, and then we can continue. Okay, we're about to come to the end again, so let's continue here. Yeah, when I paused the video, I looked down and I guess my crochet hook had a mind of its own. I was pushing through and it went fling. So I had to get it. I was like, seriously? Come on. It's like no game playing. I'm trying to do this video without making it hours and hours long. So we're just going through back side of that original chain we created, and I'm hoping this is not confusing anybody. Okay, This is, as you can see, we're coming up on the last chain of that original chain. You're going to go in here. Okay. Come on. I hooked. Sometimes it does that. Okay. All right. Now we're back to the beginning when we first started. And again, remember I told you in the beginning, we're only going to be working with these back loops. Not this side, but this side. This side back here is considered the back loops. So you're going to do the same thing over, because remember, we're going around. So when we come to these corners, you're going to put 2 of these in the corner so we can turn. Come on. Okay, now the back loop. And pull through. Alright. That's not right. Now, when something doesn't work right, here's a funny thing. It's not like quilting. Ta-da! And you just take it right back out. Put one in this corner here, and we're going to make a chain stitch. Skip this first one. See, this is your one here, and that's, sorry about that. You're going to go in, don't go in here. You made a chain, don't go in that first one. Because what you're doing is, if you put 2 in there, it adds, and you don't want to add any. You want to stay with the same amount of chains. You don't want to add any. And yeah, I know those that are experienced with this going, wait a minute, no you don't. So you just go into that second one and you're going to do the same thing all over again. And go into the back of that. You can go into both if you want. I just like the design of what it does when you go only into the front. It creates kind of a design, and I'll show you here in a second what it does. It should start producing itself of what the design will look like if you just go into the back loops instead of both loops at the same time. See what it does is it creates yeah. Now this is the back side. See, it's different than the front. See, and it just creates it makes it like a ring, because this side will actually become the inside of the pot holder, and this becomes the outside. I mean, you could turn it the other way, but it just works better if you don't. So we're going to go this way. Let me see if I can get across here really quick. And it's, I mean, crocheting is one of those things, it's pretty much, unless you're sewing 2 things together and making an actual design, it's pretty forgiving. I mean, if you want to do multicolors to create a design, then you just have to watch where you splice your thread together. Other than that, and as you can see, it's already turning like it's supposed to. Okay. Get through the hole. Alright. And pull through. So, this would be what you end up with. And see, it's creating. Let me get my little pocket here. And let me move that pocket out, push it through. So it starts creating, see, it's starting to go in so that you can see what it actually does and when you come to the end, the hole will actually go this way. And then you just kind of seal it shut. Or you can leave it open. I've done it a few times to where I've left that hole open, then I could stick my fingers in there. But this is just a basic stitch that you could do. Just something really simple. And to show you that I do crochet also. It's not my preference in crafts, but I can crochet. I've made clothing, I've made dresses, I've made stuffed animals, I've made pretty much anything. I don't like making stuffed animals for dogs and cats, simply because they can chew through the yarn and it's not good to, they can ingest it. So this type of thing I don't really care, especially dogs. I don't care for using this type of thing to make little soft things for them, but it works good for a little one, like make a ball, or things like that for little ones, because they can play on it and it's puffy. And a ball like made out of yarn, and you stuff it with something, or little kids can throw it in the house and it's not going to break anything. But like I said, if you find that you don't like what you're doing, and this is a part you take your frustrations out and you just go, this is what I do. If I find I don't like something, it looks like I got my thread caught. If you don't like what you've done and it looks like I got my thread caught, I don't know why it did that. And it happens. And you just kind of pull. Yarn is pretty forgiving, and I just wrap it around so it doesn't get all tangled. And this is similar to what you would be doing with a seam ripper, except you're not wasting it. And that's how you remove something. And ta-da! And then you could just start all over again. But I just thought I would show you some very, very basic. So, well, hopefully that small demonstration wasn't too boring. I'm just not real good at slowing down crocheting. So, hopefully, for those that have never crocheted before, it was helpful in getting you started. I mean, it's just something real simple, not too elaborate. I tried to keep it real as simple and basic, and the fans are making my hair go everywhere. Sorry about that. I tried to keep it as simple and basic as possible with a simple stitch. It's nothing big deal. And that same stitch that I was doing, you could do with anything. It's not, it gets more elaborate when you get into the double stitch and the triple stitch, and making 3-in-1 and making circles. And my favorite was when years ago, when soda cans had that little loop on them. You can't get them anymore. Well, that loop I used to take and crochet around it, and you put them together and make a clown. It makes little legs and arms and the body and the head, and then you just put little eyes on them and it makes a clown. And then you put a string up through, and you can create a marionette, I believe is how it's pronounced, where the legs and arms will move. It was a lot of fun. And then of course they quit making cans, and the loops that you could get now is like the D-ring or the little round circles, but the smaller the circle you get, the smaller the hole, so they're a little harder to do. But those pop top little, I don't know, it was just a little thing you pushed and you could take it off. They made great because they were fairly thick. So I quit making the clowns after they quit doing that with the soda. So hopefully, again, this wasn't too awful boring for anybody. And hopefully everybody's having a great day. And yes, it is getting hot in southern Arizona. It is 11 o'clock and it's already 105 outside. So, and it's a little warm in here. I'm going to have to turn the central air on. I don't like turning that air on unless I absolutely have to, because it does go, oh, turn me on. Chomp, 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 chomp. There goes the electric bill. So, I will talk to everybody there. Hit the like and subscribe. And remember those positive vibes out there. Talk to you later, everyone. Bye-bye.